All right, welcome to Wine Down Wednesday. I'm Francis Clancy with Eastward Ho. Here we are in Charlotte with a good friend of mine, Bill Bounds with Cork Vault. We're going to try some tasty California Cab, come from Miacomas Mountain. Bill, so what are we drinking today?
We are drinking an 84 Carmier Bordeaux blend, basically, from Napa. It's just a wine that I remember seeing as a kid walking through wine stores with my parents, and these came up on auction, and I decided to have a go at the nostalgia.
Hey, those are the best wines I've found.
Yep.
You know, one of my favorite wines is the ones that I used to see at Robert Mondavi as a young
Oh,
buck.
really?
Yeah.
This is definitely in the style of wines that I sort of came up around. So as a kid, tasting things like these sort of older, dustier things, even though this isn't like drinking Dun or anything like that. But that sort of old, dusty Napa flavor profile is definitely like one of my foundational wine memories. So that's like what all wine gets referenced to in my head.
Yeah, I love wineries. Just a little touch of Brett in the cellar to give a little earthy funkiness.
Yep.
You know, just that tertiary characteristic.
Yep. I also kind of enjoy this notion of like, this should never have been stored for almost 40 years. Right? This clearly like someone drank a few out of the case and then just put them away and forgot about them. So I kind of like having wines that got forgotten. Because people think there's a really like sharp drop off in wines as they age, and that's really not true. They just kind of gradually go. So I kind of like exploring that backside of things.
Right? It's just so much fun because you never know what you're going to get that day.
Yeah, it's true.
You know? So Bill, tell us a little bit about Cork Vault. I'm loving this place. Always have since I've been introduced to it.
Yeah.
But, what's it all about?
So we're a wine storage facility here in Charlotte. We have a bunch of cold space and a bunch of lockers that we lease to people. One thing that we do that we try to be unique about is we have this lounge area that we're sitting in, and we do a lot to try to foster community. So we do all the things that sort of take work out of collecting wine for people, but beyond that, we want to make sure that everything we're doing is sort of furthering the community in Charlotte one way or another. Even if it's only tangentially related to wine, we try to use this space for as many sort of greater community things as we can.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, the Charlotte wine scene, I feel, is just growing so quick that, so many people are looking for a home base to really, expand in their wine collection, but they don't have space for the wine cellars. There's a lot of small places in Charlotte, a lot of them are apartments, as, I'm sure a lot of you guys know, and Bill's just coming in, kicking ass, as usual.
Yeah, we've been open just about 6 years, and I've seen the wine scene change a lot just in that time. Charlotte's kind of funny. It's got like lots of little pockets. There's a bunch of different people that have their cluster of 3 to 15 friends, and that's the only people they drink with. And as we've started having more events here for our members, I can start to see those dots connect, and then suddenly someone's group isn't just 4 people, it's 20 people, and it's been cool to watch that happen. And I'm sure that's happening organically in other places, but it's cool to be a location where that also happens.
Kind of almost like the wine hub in Charlotte.
Hey, if that's what we can be, then that's great.
Yeah, everyone always just comes to the bottle shares.
Yeah.
Well, we have one every first week of the month.
Yep.
And the wines that are just coming in are just things, as me being 32, is just an absolute wonderful array of different wines that I've been able to try. And this is a wonderful example.
Yeah.
Right here. We're almost 40 years old on this wine, and wow. This is...
Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, the tannins, the initial tannins have definitely settled down, I think. The fruit is actually surprisingly present. So is the acid. And I can honestly see, just from those basic characteristics, this being able to sit down another at least 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
I think this bottle in particular probably could have seen that 60-year mark, but again, you never know.
Yeah.
You know, each wine is different.
We'll give one a shot. I guess I'll forget a couple in the back of my cellar too. We'll see what happens.
No, so why wine, Bill? So there's a million careers. Why wine?
Yeah, wine is something that I've sort of always been around. The story that I often tell, and if any other Core Vault members are watching or listening, then they probably have heard this. But when I was a kid growing up, and my dad was between jobs, and they needed to sell his car so they could still have budget to pay the mortgage and stuff like that. My parents still kept a portion of the budget set aside to go out to eat, have nice food, and have wine. It was that important to them. So I really can't remember a time where wine wasn't at the table. Even as a really young kid, being handed a glass, smelling it, citing the notes that I was getting in it, and stuff like that. And I sort of took my own career adventure, working in various startups, stuff like that. But one day I finally got tired of working for other people, and when it came to, hey, what do I do for myself? This just seemed like a really natural fit. It just has worked out great, and Charlotte's been really good to us, and we feel very fortunate.
Wonderful. Well, what keeps you in the wine game? I mean, I've been in the wine industry a little bit, in and out different parts.
Yep.
But why you? What keeps you in it?
It's kind of funny because I feel like I'm a bit on the outside of it, right? I'm not selling wine in a retail shop every day. So I guess I am part of the wine industry, but I don't quite think of myself that
Phil,
way.
you're the backbone that everyone wishes they had. Let's not kidding.
Yeah, it's such a funny question. I haven't thought of it in that way. But I think one of the most unexpected things for me was just how much I would enjoy interacting with everyone else that's in this as a hobby. I knew there'd be a lot of work in moving wine around and storing wine and building this business and all that, but I just didn't give a lot of thought to how much I would be enabling other people's joy, and I find a lot of gratification in that. Enabling other people to be enthusiastic about things, enabling other people to go down whatever rabbit hole they want to with wine, just being there, being supportive. I've been really astonished at how generous the wine collector community really is, and our bottle shares are a good example of that. But even people I interact with on a one-on-one basis, there's not a single person here I wouldn't enjoy sitting down and having a glass of wine with.
I think the first time I met you, Bill, you opened a half bottle of 1986 Cologne cigar. Premier Grand Cru, Bordeaux.
Right.
There's this new kid, and let's meet him with a nice bottle of wine.
Yep.
You
That sounds about right. Any excuse,
Exactly.
I find that too, just talking about community again for 1 second, people have wine that they value, right? But their immediate friend group might not place the same value on that wine. And if you can go and then be with people that are just as enthusiastic as you, it makes you more willing to say, hey, let me open this bottle from '84, right?
Exactly.
Some of the friends I have wouldn't care whether it was this or a brand new $20 bottle from the grocery store. So if I'm opening it, it's really just for me. But if I can open this now for both of us, then it's better, right?
Yeah.
And that sort of plays out constantly here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not familiar with this winery. I'm familiar with where it's from, and I've actually heard of the vineyard before.
Yeah.
And I guess this is when they were all estate wines.
Yeah.
But this wine is probably nothing I would grab off the shelves, but it's absolutely phenomenal. Over the past couple of minutes, this wine is really gone from a 90 to fucking great.
Yeah, it's funny. It's only been open maybe 20 minutes now. I kind of wish we'd been able to open a little sooner.
Well, if you don't mind, Bill.
Please go ahead. It's not gonna drink itself.
Hey. So, if I were to, ask you for any advice that you would give someone who's, just getting into the wine industry, think about getting into it, any aspect.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give them?
That's a really good question. For me, what has been critical is finding something that I knew I could like absolutely throw myself at. And yeah, I would say that if someone else is trying to get into it, maybe that's where they need to start. They need to think about whether or not whatever they're trying to do is something they could really just wholeheartedly go at it. Especially if you're on like the creation side of things. At some level, that's a passion play, and so you've got to be willing to go the distance on it, right?
Exactly.
But if not, like if that's the dream, but you need a more practical job, like at least letting it be something that you could fully get behind, I think will probably pay dividends down the line. Don't take the one crappy job. Take the other one that you can see a good path forward on, right?
Exactly. I mean, there's just so many aspects you can get into in wine,
Yeah.
and there's so many places you can grow.
Yeah.
So, I always hope that there's new wine club entrants
Yep.
all the time.
Yep.
Because I almost feel like there's not enough 21-year-olds in the wine community.
That's true. It's true.
Um,
But you know, like storage is not particularly sexy, right? But this is the thing I felt good about throwing myself at, and because of that, it enabled me to do all these other things. And you know, if I had tried to do something else, like maybe go sling wine around a distributor warehouse or something, I probably wouldn't have ended up in the same place.
yeah, you don't want to go drive around carrying bags all day.
Yeah, right.
So, if there's one bottle on your list that you're on the hunt for, what is it?
On the hunt for
Like your unicorn bottle. What is that pinnacle that you've been looking for
Yeah.
a while?
So every bottle share, I open a bottle of wine from my cellar as well, right? And there's only been one bottle that I wished I would have held back for myself, just so I could enjoy the whole thing rather than getting a ounce pour. And it caught me totally off guard. It was a Vega Sicilia Unico Especial, where they do the blend.
Right.
So it was the 1990 bottling, which happened to be a blend of the 68 and 70 vintages of Unico. And I just picked it up like in a mixed lot. I didn't even really know what I had when I bought it because I was paying attention to other things. And yeah, if I could, I don't even know how I'd go about finding another bottle of that, but if I could have another bottle of that, I would absolutely probably just drink it by myself over the span of like 5 hours.
Well,
that's it.
I'm gonna help you and keep an eye out for that.
Okay, yeah.
1990 bottling of Vega
Yeah.
Unico Reserva Especial.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah, anyone finds it, let me know.
Well, one last question, Bill. Favorite bottle in the last 5 years?
I initially thought that was a hard question, but one like screams really loudly in my mind. I was lucky enough to be part of a mini vertical tasting of Le Mission Aubryon wines. And so we had a 70, a 75, and a 78, all in the same flight. And on paper, like if you were gonna write a review and other people were gonna hold you accountable to it, everyone would have picked the 75, right? Like it just had all the right things, but there was something extra about the 70 that just like everything like locked in my brain. And I was like, this is the wine I would take home. Like I would absolutely have more of this any day of the week, every day of the week. If I could just drink one more, like, yeah, that'd be it.
Awesome.
Yep.
Very
Exceptionally privileged to have had it, but yeah, it was great.
Awesome, awesome. I've never had a 75 La Mission Aubryon personally.
Yeah. Yep.
Or a 70, or a 78.
Yep.
So you know what? I'm gonna try to get myself all those and repeat your beautiful tasting. That sounded like
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
But cheers to another great wine down Wednesday. And again, Bill, cheers.
Cheers.